So I want to talk today about people who try to sell their homes on their own. In the industry, we call that a FSBO, for sale by owner. So FSBOs are really interesting. One of the things that I've always found curious, if not ironic, is the fact that sometimes real estate agents who may or may not be active real estate agents. In other words, at one time they were a real estate agent, or maybe they still are and just not very active, or maybe they're just an active real estate agent, and they are under the illusion. You can't blame typical civilians for wanting to sell their own home. But when it's an agent, come on. That's like working at a car dealership and taking the bus. You know, it's hypocritical, right, is what it is. But I'm not assuming that you're not an agent. I'm assuming that if you're watching this video or you have any interest in this video, or it came up in a how to sell your own home in Sacramento web search, Google search, YouTube search, that you're a regular, normal civilian who's just thinking, wow, commissions are a lot. Let me just go ahead and list it and sell it myself. How hard can it be? I put a sign in the yard, and we're going to get into that. But here's what's really interesting, and I'll repeat this at the end of this video after I give you some nuance to it. But ultimately, you end up with the same or more money in your pocket when you list with an agent, even for all that commission. Okay, a couple things that we're going to cover. But at the end of the day, you're not saving money. And in fact, even worse than not making exactly the same amount, which you will, but even worse than that is the liability you open yourself up to. Oh my gosh. You can't even believe how much liability, especially in California. It's a sue happy state. Buyers love to sue sellers. They just do. So let's look at the representation and the legalities of it. If you sell your own home, now a lot of for sale by owners will say, okay, I'll pay the buyer's agent a little bit. And if they agree to that, let's say you did that and you're like, I'm not paying the commissions, but an agent calls you and they say, hey, I have a buyer for your property. Can I come show it? And would you be willing to pay a 2 or 3% commission? And you're like, yeah, if you've got a buyer, I'll do that. So they come to your house and they like it and they write the offer. You don't have anyone representing you. And the agent is a skilled, licensed professional who represents the buyer. What does that mean? That means they're fiduciary. That's the legal way of saying their absolute burden of responsibility is with the buyer. It's not you. So that agent, I'm not saying the agent's unethical, but that agent is only going to be concerned with protecting the rights and the cash reserves and everything else for the buyer. So they're going to come at you with an offer, and unless you're a legal or an attorney or an agent, you may not understand what all the boxes mean and all the check marks and what you're signing and agreeing to. So that's one scary thing right there. Then they're going to do their inspections. And then that agent is going to come at you with all the requests for repairs. And you're going to be like, what do I need to fix? How, what? And you've got to look around. I will tell you a quick story. And I'm going to do a whole video on it, so I won't belabor the story. But I had one not named termite company. I'm not going to bash people in public, but it gave my seller a $20,000 estimate for fumigation and dry rot repair. $20,000. And this was right before closing. I called my termite company, who I don't mind bragging about, called Good Life here in Sacramento. And guess what? There was no active infestation. It did not need a $6,600 fumigation, not to mention the poison. Who wants to be around that? And there was not massive dry rot. There was like $4,700 worth of dry rot that they fixed in one day. Okay, $20,000, $4,700, and that's with an agent. That's with me saying, nope, this isn't right. Let's look at this. That's my 30 years of experience. But if you're doing this on your own, are you going to even know when you need to get a second opinion? And let's face it, why would you want to pay another few $100s if you already have one licensed professional? It should be accurate, right? Not so true. Okay. So then the whole repair thing, and then in the offer, it says how we're going to split up closing costs and all of that. So when you're reading that offer, you really need to make sure that you know what you're doing. You need to make sure you know what you're doing. Then you have to fill out all the disclosures. So the buyer's agent is going to say during the inspection period, when can we expect disclosures? And you're going to be like, disclosures? Can you tell me what to do? Well, the buyer's agent is not going to, he or she is not going to give you all the forms. You're going to have to order them from the Sacramento Association of Realtors, because we don't operate with any forms other than California Association of Realtor forms. So you'll have to buy your own forms. You'll have to, figure out which forms to use. There are a lot. There are about 40 pages of disclosures that will be due during that inspection period. And if you miss one thing on that, or you don't report it properly, accurately, that's when the lawsuits come. Okay, I'm just telling you where lawsuits come up in real estate is during disclosures, and it's usually a failure to disclose on the part of the seller, or that's what the buyer is alleging. I'm not saying that it's always true, but that's what the buyer is saying. We bought this house, we didn't know it was infested, and the seller didn't disclose it, and the seller knew, something like that. So you have to be super, super thorough in your disclosures. So when all that is said and done, at the end of the day, and you're still paying the 2 or 3% for the other agent, the buyer's agent, if you agreed to that, because if you didn't agree to it, you're not going to have a client, right? It's very, very hard. But on top of that, I want to make sure you understand that when you have a for sale by owner, not only are you going to have 10, 20, 30 agents calling you saying, can I list your house? Can I list your house? That's going to be annoying enough, and you're going to start hanging up on them or not answering your phone. But if you don't answer your phone, how are you going to know when prospective buyers are calling? You won't, right? Tricky. Now, on top of that, you want people, strangers, traipsing through your house all day? Every time someone wants to show your house, let's say, forget the 30 agents that are calling you. Let's just say someone sees your home and they're like, oh, I really like that house. And they say, can I come look at it? You're going to just let a stranger in your house? Because listen, at least if that person is with an agent, they've been vetted. Like, I don't show anyone a property unless I have their driver's license and I have a letter from a lender, my lender or their lender. Like, if they don't have those two things for me, I'm not getting in a car with them. I'm not going to a vacant property with them. And I'm not going to risk potential sellers, having their home. What if their home is being cased for a robbery? That's not that unlikely, right? And especially in these times. So you need to make sure that the people that you're inviting into your home to look at it are vetted, that, that they're trustworthy, that they're not going to rob you or worse. Okay. So at the end of the day, if you get to the closing table with all of that and you've survived all of that, you're going to find that after you've paid that 2 or 3% to that other agent, for another 2 or 3%, and real estate commissions are negotiable in the state of California. So I want to be really clear on that. I'm just speaking numbers, but let's just say another 3% could have saved you so much hassle, so much headache, and most importantly of all, well, one of the most important things of all is it can save you so much potential liability and risk. That's huge, but you're going to end up netting the same amount. Why? Because a smart agent, a skilled, experienced, knowledgeable agent who knows the market, who knows how to pre-launch, launch, and market a home is going to absolutely get you as much or more than you would have gotten before. So think about that if you're thinking about selling your home on your own. Now, it's okay if you think you want to try, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not here to tell anyone you're wrong, don't do that. I'm just asking you to consider all the circumstances and all the potential risks that are involved. And at the end of the day, it's really not that much money. And at the end of the day, it's really not any money compared to what you were going to get on your own. 78% of all people, including agents, 78% of all people who put their home on the market to sell by themselves without using agents, without listing it, end up listing with an agent. So it depends on, if you want to try it yourself, go ahead, but please, please, please be cognizant of the liabilities and the risk, and be very careful having people in your home. And also be very careful on the disclosures, because that's, like I said, that's the fodder for lawsuits. Now, you can find an agent, not me, but you can find agents who are really hungry and who haven't sold a house in a long time, who might do it for like a $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, whatever, a flat fee. But you have to ask yourself, why will they do that? Because they have no business. Why don't they have business? How good are they? Because good agents are always working. We're always busy. We're always selling houses, listing houses, showing property, right? So you have to ask yourself these questions. Now, if I scared you, good, because I don't want you to end up hating the process that you went through. Now, if you're scared enough to consider listing your home with someone, I'm here for you. But likewise, if you want to try it on your own, hit me up. I have a marketing plan that I am happy to share with you. No obligation, no pressure, no questions. Not going to follow up with you and say, hey, do you need me yet? I'm just going to send it to you. Okay, all you have to do is connect with me on one of the links below, and I will be happy to send you that booklet, and I think it will help you. Okay, so have a beautiful day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.